This podcast is part of the Michigan Sports and Entertainment Podcast Network. Go to michigansportsandentertainment.com for more great podcasts.
Hey everyone, this is Austin.
What's going on, guys? This is John.
And you're listening to the Voice of the Fans Sports Podcast.
All right, everybody. I am solo tonight. Austin is off doing things, probably just slacking watching the Purdue basketball game. Can't blame him. Big game playing Marquette, but in all seriousness, he has stuff going on, so I'm going to take you guys through it tonight. First things first, want to start things off with our deepest condolences to the Winston family. I'm sure everybody's heard, especially as Michigan State fans, Cassius Winston's little brother, Zachary Winston, passed away Saturday night after getting struck by a train. So obviously our condolences are with the Winston family and anyone else who was affected by it. Really nice moment before the basketball game on Sunday night that we'll talk about later on in the show. Before then, it has been a while since I've last talked to you guys about Michigan State, anything really. We have, me and Austin have unfortunately had some things come up, family-wise, some family issues that kind of put us on a hiatus. After those things happened, we kind of just took a little break there. Obviously, both of our football teams not playing their best right now with personal stuff going on, so we just kind of needed a mental break. I think the last time we talked was the week of the Ohio State game, so we'll just jump into things right there. This was really the last time I was at all excited for a Michigan State game, and it was a good first quarter. My mind's going to be a little foggy here with what went on, so my apologies for that, but we had the 3-0 first quarter. Defense looked phenomenal. Forced a couple 3-and-outs early in, typical Michigan State offense fashion. A fumble early on by Cody White, which, or I can't remember if the option fumble was first or if it was the Cody White fumble. We're going to go with the Cody White fumble and just talk about that one first. Could have been an incomplete catch, I thought, but they ruled it a fumble. Obviously not the way you want to start when you get a big 3-and-out to start the game. And then literally the next possession, you run an option and just another turnover. You're immediately setting your defense up for failure, which this offense has been doing for the last couple of seasons now. And it's just the same show over and over again. And then the worst second quarter of football and probably the most painful second quarter to watch in my Michigan State fandom, because at this point Michigan State was 4-2, I believe. Actually, were they 4-1? Let me go back here. I'm sorry. Yeah, 4-1. 4-1 going to Columbus, looking to prove a point. Obviously, neither of us thought Michigan State was going to win, but you held your own in literally the whole game, but that second quarter got outscored 24-10. And then we didn't score the rest of the game, and Ohio State scored 7 points. So that was the difference right there in the second quarter. There was a moment in the game where I thought we could kind of hang around where Lewerke threw the touchdown to Darrell Stewart. The intensity was there, but I think as the game went on, Ohio State in that second quarter, just big play after big play. So not much we could do in that game. And it was just literally the start of this. It's such a tough time to come back because we are on the verge of a 5-game losing streak going into rivalry weekend, which we'll obviously talk about more. But just brutal football coming up this next few games that we're going to talk about. You go to Wisconsin. I wasn't worth for this game. I decided not to more golf, which would have been free golf after our normal 18 holes on a golf outing I go on, to come back to our hotel room and watch this Michigan State-Wisconsin game because, 4-2, still feeling okay about the team because of how they looked for 3 quarters against Ohio State. But this was just, Lewerke played arguably the worst game in his career, in my opinion, while healthy. He got pulled for Rocky Lombardi, also did not look good. And the defense just got worked. I mean, I shouldn't say worked. They didn't get worked until the fourth quarter when they were really worn down. But when you're able to hold Jonathan Taylor to 26 carries for 80 yards, you can't lose that game. I mean, you can't be that bad offensively, especially when their quarterback, yeah, he went 18 for 21, but he had 180 passing yards and a touchdown. I mean, it's not really like he, tore you up. There's really no offensive touchdown to talk, or offensive. I mean, obviously no touchdown. He's lost 38-0, but offensive stats to talk about. I mean, the rushing game was atrocious. Your biggest run and best rusher of the day was linebacker Tyreek Thompson on a fake punt. Elijah Collins, 8 carries for 16 yards. Cody White had a run. I mean, we only ran the ball 16. I'm not going to count Lewerke. So outside of Lewerke, 9, 10, really only 9 true runs, which kind of obviously just set up how the game ended up. So another brutal one, which just started a brutal stretch for Michigan State, got into a bye week. Thought they could do some things maybe against Penn State. They're coming to East Lansing. You've had their number the last couple of years, especially last year, shocking them at Happy Valley. But another one. The offense, I mean, the brutal month of October literally scored 17 points. 17 points in a month. And it just baffles me, the staff. I mean, and we'll get into that after I go over these next couple of games. But again, this time the secondary kind of got torn up a little bit. Sean Clifford threw for 4 touchdowns. It was an absolute monsoon. And it's just this game was tough. I was again on vacation for this one, so I didn't watch much of it, but just keeping track of it. I mean, Michigan State could not move the ball. Lewerke threw the ball 34 times in the rain. He threw the ball for a total of 43 times in a monsoon. It's just the choices made. I mean, obviously you're down 21-0 at half, so I mean you really don't have another choice. But man, just brutal. Another brutal game. And then the cherry on top, which is the Illinois game. Offense looked fresh out of another bye week. And Lewerke looked really sharp in the first half. Elijah Collins, I mean, no one's going to talk about him because we blew the huge lead, but man, Elijah Collins, the running game was going early. He had 28 carries for 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. Even Lewerke was running the ball well. 11 carries, 96 yards, and a touchdown. It was really fun to watch in the first half. Lewerke threw 2 interceptions in the first half, weren't really on him. They were tip drills. And I don't know how we got to where we are. I mean, you're 28-10. Really shouldn't even given up the touchdown in the second quarter. Illinois just kind of threw up a prayer in one-on-one coverage. They're huge. They have a couple big wide receivers, just beat you in man coverage, which is fine. It's whatever. I mean, even though you knew that was coming, but so, and then you go to the third quarter, you're up 31-10 in the going into the fourth quarter, and you give up 27 points. At that point, it is literally, it has to be the breaking point. I mean, I could do nothing else but laugh. I mean, it was utterly painful to watch, to spend time while watching the Bama LSU game, and then I have to look over, and I'm mainly watching the Michigan State game, obviously, and watch the product that I have to watch. It would be one thing if D'Antonio actually made changes, and I guess this is where we kind of transition into the staff. If he made real changes and actually, cleaned the staff on the offensive side of the ball. but you literally just shuffle the staff. Dave Warner goes to quarterback coach. Brad Salem goes to offensive coordinator, which at first showed some positive signs, and then they went back to the same old scheme. It's defenseless. D'Antonio just kind of shrugging off the media's questions about the fans and this and that. And I get it. I mean, he has a job to do, but he's not doing a good job. And I mean, you are literally, I mean, I will never forget what D'Antonio has done for this program. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, not that he's tarnishing his legacy, but in some ways he is. I mean, you blew the meme is out there. I mean, just like the Super Bowl. Michigan State blew a 20-3 lead, and it's embarrassing. It's not something a good football program does. It's not something a program with the pedigree that Michigan State has had under D'Antonio would do. This is embarrassing. It's not a division, like a quality Division I football product. Unfortunately, we end the year with Maryland and Rutgers, so we're probably going to end up going 6-6 and getting to a bowl game and somehow finding a way to make excuses for the staff, which it seems like us as a fan base does time after time, is give D'Antonio the benefit of the doubt. And I get it. He went 3-9, and everybody was freaking out. And then the next year, he follows it up with a 10-3 record. And everybody's, including me, back on board, even though I was still questioning the offense. I've gone on record. I mean, I've only been doing this for the last year and a half or so, but on Twitter, multiple times. I've been on record since probably 2014, like the last year of Connor Cook. And then obviously after Connor Cook, that this offensive scheme is not going to work. And I think having guys like Connor Cook and Kirk Cousins in the past have kind of masked the problems in the scheme. So I don't know. I guess before we get into the future of Michigan State football, let's get into this Michigan State-Michigan game. This is probably the least excited I've been for a Michigan State-Michigan game in my lifetime. And sure, I guess without Darryl Stewart, without Matt Doxson, Joe Bacci, your absolute leader of this team. Sure, we can go in Ann Arbor and win. This is for all the Michigan State fans out there, and I hope I'm wrong, but if you really think that we have a chance to go into Ann Arbor and shock the Wolverines, you're in for a rude awakening on Saturday. Do I think Michigan's a top 10 team in the country? No. Do I think they are a legitimate top 15 team in the country? No. But they are a good football team, and they are playing us, the Michigan State Spartans, as a bad football team. And Michigan State has literally shown me no signs of progress to where I could see, like, you know what? Okay. We can do a couple things here and there against Michigan that could maybe give us a chance, but I don't see how you're going to protect Lewerke against Michigan's defensive scheme with Don Brown, which is they're going to blitz you, they're going to rush the passer, and they're going to make you stop it. If you can stop their pass rush, you can throw the ball in Michigan, but that's the thing. You don't have a good O-line. Lewerke's horrible under pressure, and I can't blame him for it. I mean, he's been under pressure since he's gotten here. He hasn't had a good O-line. But there is just nothing I can see happening in this game to make me think that Michigan State has a chance. I think we keep it close early on, just with the intensity of this rivalry game. There's a lot of hate in the field, but I think Michigan pulls away. I think you're probably going into halftime something like 13-3 Michigan, 17-3, 17-6, something like that. And then I think Michigan pulls away and wins this thing 24. We're going to call it 24-6. I think Michigan wins. So obviously I don't think I've ever picked Michigan to beat Michigan State on record, but it's just been that kind of year. I think Michigan has found their stride somewhat. Although they have struggled at times, I think they're playing better offensively. I think Shea Patterson has looked better. I still don't think he's good, but he's looked better. Their running game is coming along. Their defense is good. I think Michigan's probably the fourth best team in the Big Ten, but that's much better than you are. So I think it's going to be a long Saturday for unfortunately for us Spartans. So we will see what happens. Obviously, I'm going to watch the game. Going to get up early, get excited for it. Be ready for the rivalry. Obviously, watch all the pump up videos and the hype videos. And there was a documentary coming out on Fox Sports 1. I think it's either tonight or tomorrow at 11 p.m. Eastern about, the rivalry, and you have guys like Draymond Green and people like that on there, to pump it up. But man, I don't see this game getting much attention. Honestly, Michigan should handle this game. Obviously, the rivalry, if I can talk, we'll be able to keep it close for a little bit, but I just don't see us talent for talent being able to hold on against Michigan, and I don't trust our coaching staff. So when you don't have the talent and you don't have the coaching staff, it's a sign of trouble. So ultimately, hope I'm wrong, but I see Michigan winning a game like 24-6, 27-6, or something like that. I don't think we scored a touchdown, to be honest with you. So we'll see what happens. But moving on to kind of talk about the future of what I think is going to happen, because here we are again talking about the future because we yet again have nothing to play for at the end of the season, which is starting to really, the last 4 years, you think about it, 3-9, 10-3, 7-6 last year, and then looking at a 6-7, 7-6 finish this year. No improvement from last year at all. Defense looks worse. Offense looks the same. So arguably you look worse. Not only do you not look just the same, you look worse. So I think ultimately, best case scenario, I think D'Antonio. This isn't what I think will happen. I will give you that situation. But best case scenario, D'Antonio would retire. Honestly, best case scenario, D'Antonio would announce his retirement right before the Michigan game to kind of give it a little drama. And he gets to have a send-off on senior day against Maryland. Against Maryland, which he deserves. He does deserve a nice send-off to recognize everything that he's done for this program. He's put us on the map. But regardless, it's time for a change. It's time for culture change. It's just, he just does not sound like he just enjoys what he does. He sounds lost in press conferences. He sounds annoyed. He just does not seem like he wants to be here anymore. And it doesn't seem like he can figure it out, or he's not willing to put the effort in to figure it out and change things. So like I said, I think best case scenario would be D'Antonio retiring at the end of the year and kind of just going on his way, not really riding off into the sunset because of how this has ended up. But, I think he should at least I would love for him to tell the AD he plans on stepping down so we can begin our coaching search, begin recruiting, and begin the rebuild process, try to build the program back up. So I don't really have any names for you right now on who I'd like to see us go after. PJ Fleck was obviously one, but he just, signed a monster extension with Minnesota, so he's going to be there for good. It seems like obviously buyouts happen, but what I think is going to happen is that D'Antonio comes back. I do think, if he comes back next year and does not make one change in the staff, I might not watch a game next year. That might be my breaking point as a fan. But I don't see that happening. So don't even think about that happening, fans, because you're only going to stress yourself out like I'm stressed out right now. So I think what really realistically happens is D'Antonio comes back and he gets rid of cleans house on the offensive side of the ball, finally makes a real hire on OC as an OC. And honestly, if that doesn't work, then I think you have to fire D'Antonio because it's just not working. Nothing you do is working. So I think he goes out, tries to get a quality OC. I think Michigan State is a good job for a young up-and-coming offensive coordinator to kind of prove himself. I mean, you can come into a program-wise, I'd still say Michigan State's like a top 35 program to be at, and a team that everybody knows their offensive woes. I think a young guy could come in, turn the offense around, and either be the candidate for Michigan State's next head coach or move on into a different job. So I think there's some attractiveness to this job. I mean, you do lose Brian Lewerke, but you get a choice of Rocky Lombardi, who has shown potential at quarterback. Theo Day, who I like personally, and then as a wild card, Peyton Thorne, who as Austin has given us a breakdown on before. There's a lot of things Austin likes about him. So if he learns the offense, who knows? He'll be a redshirt freshman. So then Theo Day will be redshirt sophomore. Who I think is going to be your next quarterback. I think the safe choice is Rocky Lombardi, but I think the realistic choice is Theo Day. You get Theo Day, you have a really talented backfield if you can kind of figure out the scheme that you want to run and get that offensive line right. Elijah Collins is a monster, and he is running behind a depleted O-line, and he is still putting up numbers. You have guys like Anthony Williams who have battled health issues this year as a true freshman, but has shown flashes, and everybody raves about him. And then you got a guy like Brandon Wright, who I liked a lot on his film. I think Austin agreed with me on him. I think we both liked him more than Anthony Williams. But and then receiving core, you lose Darryl Stewart, possibly Cody White. I don't think so. I think Cody White sticks it out, regardless of transfer or NFL. I think he sticks it out. So he's obviously number one guy. You get Jalen Naylor back after another injury this year if he can stay healthy. You have a guy like Julian Barnett, who I don't know if he'll stay on the offensive side of the ball because you get that transfer from Western Michigan, who was an All-American freshman wide receiver. Last name is Reed, I believe, who is going to be a stud for us. And then you have guys like CJ Hayes, and you're pretty deep at wide receiver, and you have a good tight end room as well. So I think Doxson will be back, and so will Gillison, who has only gotten better. So you have the talent there on offense, which is why it's frustrating to me and why it's so clear that it is coaching, because this team has gone out and scored 40 points, 51 points, 31 points, 34 against Illinois. Given the best defense they scored points on was probably Illinois, maybe. Illinois has been hot. Indiana, I guess. Obviously have not done well against good teams, but there have been signs that you can move the ball on teams, which there weren't before. So the talent, I think, is there. It is just the scheme is disgusting. I don't even know what to call it. I think if there's some changes being made, I think the talent is there to have a Power 5 legitimate offense. So we'll see what they do on the offense side of the ball. If they clean house and get rid of D'Antonio, which I think they should happen, it's probably going to be ugly for the first couple of years, recruiting wise, and getting everything together. But something has to be done, and I just don't know how much longer D'Antonio is going to coach for, which is why I'd rather just get the rebuilding process started now. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, tune into the Michigan State game. It's always a fun game to watch on Fox, I believe, at noon. So don't forget to tune into that. Hopefully Michigan State can surprise us and ease our football pain. I just don't think it's going to happen. No pick'ems tonight. Due to me being solo, hiatus, we're kind of just getting back into things. So I'm gonna probably do a pick'em for the last 2 weeks of college football. Just briefly talk about Michigan State basketball. Game against Kentucky, obviously not the results that we wanted, but it is kind of what I expected. I mean, we always kind of look rusty in the Champions Classic early on in the year. Could not hit a shot to save our lives. It literally took a phenomenal performance from Tyrese Maxey, the Kentucky true freshman, and really 3 wild 3-point shots to beat Michigan State. So a lot of people, I think, overreacted about that loss. I think Michigan State's going to be just fine. Obviously, the Binghamton win is not like a game breaker. That's not showing to me that we're a national title contender, but good test coming up on Thursday. Obviously, no Miles Powell, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it's a good test. You're going on the road, and then you still got Duke and potentially Kansas in the Maui Invitational. Cassius, obviously going to be going through a lot the rest of the season with his, the whole incident with his brother in the back of his head. Maybe it motivates him, but regardless, just a tragic loss. And really, I mean, it's tough to keep the emotions in, especially Sunday night, watching the moment of silence, watching Cassius break down along with his teammates. Izzo couldn't keep the tears out of his eyes. I mean, it really hit the whole program hard. I mean, Zachary Winston was not a Michigan State basketball player, but he was a part of the Michigan State family. And as many people know, Michigan State, especially the basketball program, is one big family, and that it's like them losing a brother, or to Izzo losing a son or something. It's not easy. Obviously, deepest condolences to the Winston family again. I can't even begin to imagine what they're going through. So, but against Binghamton, Cassius Winston played inspired. Had 17 points, 11 assists, just doing Cassius things. This team, the big surprise for me has been Marcus Bingham. He has played every single minute I've seen him play has been good, other than he made one error against Kentucky. Other than that, his motor is huge. Still obviously a twig, physique-wise, but man, does he have a motor? He wants to rebound. He wants to get the ball. He's aggressive. He's got crazy length. I mean, I think we are looking at a potential star come his junior, senior year. Gabe Brown, I think, has clearly gotten a lot better. I think your X factor, like last year, I think it's going to be Aaron Henry and Rocket Watts, in my opinion. Rocket Watts is going to play a big role, especially with Josh Langford out till at least January. And man, I have a bad feeling that I just don't think we're going to see Josh Langford suit up in a Michigan State jersey ever again with that foot issue. He's even said he's not going to apply for a medical red shirt after this year. He's just going to kind of let it go. So we'll see what happens with him. But Rocket Watts is going to play a huge role. He's going to have to grow up fast. He's shown flashes. This team is just really deep. I don't think, obviously, you got Cassius. Other than him, I think it's going to be the other guy every night. Tillman, I don't think, is a guy to be a go-to scorer, but he can get you his, and he's a really talented big man. But I think Aaron Henry is sneaky good, and no one's talking about him. Super athletic, improved jump shot a little bit, in-your-face defender. I mean, this kid has all Big Ten written all over him this year, I think. So we'll see if he can surprise some people and continue to develop. But basketball-wise, obviously, tomorrow night, have a big game against Seton Hall. We'll see what happens there. I'm expecting big things from Michigan State basketball, and it's Final Four or bust again. Obviously, I think this team needs to win a national title for me to be fully satisfied, but anything other than the Final Four is, unfortunately, in my opinion, a failure. But that's just me as a fan. I mean, obviously, these kids, I don't want them to think, obviously, that they have failed or anything like that. But because it really seems like a really close-knit group, good group of kids. But you just want them to go out there and enjoy themselves and play the game that they love. But us as fans, we want another title. And I think we rightfully deserve one. Tom Izzo deserves one. So hopefully we can get it this year. I'm not ready to crown us the national champions, but I think we have one hell of a shot to get it. I think this is a year to be in the Big Ten. Kind of like it was for Ohio State. It is in Ohio State in football that I don't think anybody can beat them. Obviously, Michigan State's going to lose a couple games in conference, but I think it's going to be really tough to win the Big Ten over them. Although Ohio State won a really impressive game today, had Villanova come to their house and they dominated them. And then Austin's Boilermakers right now are up 38-20 at Marquette, which is impressive in its own. So looks like Purdue is recovering well from that loss against Texas at home. Other than that, nothing really more for you tonight other than kind of scrambling and rambling and trying to get back into the hang of things. So, again, we appreciate your patience and, just keep sticking with us. We're going to keep recording. We're going to get back to doing it weekly. Like I said, Austin has some things going on this week. So we're going to get back onto things, and I'm just rambling on. So once again, I am John Emmons, and my co-host Austin Stoll is doing his thing, and we will see you guys next time.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. If you like what you heard tonight, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Voice of the Fan, and also give us a listen on SoundCloud. And if you could, like our page on Facebook at Voice of the Fan and follow us on Twitter at Voice of the Fan PC. Thanks everyone.